Milton Tyree comes to us from Kentucky. I've got the state right this time. Where he lives with his wife of 30 years, Vicki, and their 17-year-old daughter, Kaylin. He coordinates initiatives for the University of Kentucky's Human Development Institute, initiatives that really offer people with disabilities ways of participating in valued aspects of everyday life. Projects like Putting Faith to Work, the Supported Employment Training Project, and Endeavor for Excellence. He's also a consultant for the Presbyterians for Disability Concerns and the Benefits of Congregational Inclusion. Join me in welcoming Milton.
Thank you, Eric, and good morning. It's wonderful to be back home. I grew up in the beautiful hills of Virginia on the other side of the state. I was born in the same year as Brown versus the Board of Education, with our Supreme Court overturning the separate but equal doctrine, declaring unconstitutional state laws establishing separate schools for black students and white students. But it was a full decade later, 1964, before I attended a racially integrated public school. Prior to 64, black students attended school in Christiansburg. Don't remember much talk about it. It was just the way things were. Vanessa Price was the sole African-American student in Mrs. Brown's fourth grade class at Margaret Beeks Elementary School. Last year, during the 50th anniversary of our celebration of the passage of the Civil Rights Act, I thought about Vanessa for the first time in a long time. And I wondered what her life had been like since I'd last seen her in the 60s. And if I were to see her again, I'd apologize. Not because I was one of the students who taunted her and teased her, but because I did nothing to respond to what I'd observed. So my lessons about those people were largely unspoken lessons learned, ways of being quietly socialized, beginning at a very young age, that somehow Vanessa was fundamentally different than I was. Why didn't Vanessa or other black people live on my street, Allendale Court? Why did they have their own elementary and high school miles away in Christiansburg? And what in the world was Vanessa doing now, plucked in the middle row of Mrs. Brown's fourth grade class? Had some big and unasked questions for a 9-year-old. I'd like to ask Vanessa what it was like living on the other side of those questions, being one of those people assigned to a strange new school. Well, a couple months ago, I had lunch with a Lexington friend, and we were sharing daughter updates. One of Malcanthy's daughters, Megan, recently began attending the University of Kentucky, same place my daughter Kaylin will go next fall. And she described a recent happening in Megan's freshman math class where the math professor had asked for a student willing to come up front to solve a problem on the board. Deadly silence. With no one else volunteering, Megan walked to the front of the class, apparently doing and explaining the problem perfectly, then sitting down, all in a day's work, never mentioned, no big deal. So here's the point. While volunteering to go up front in a university class, a freshman math class in front of everybody else is pretty gutsy, the interesting thing about this story is Megan's those people status. You see, Megan is one of those people whose social standing is such in the world that many would wonder why she was there. Not because of race nor ethnicity. Megan's parents and siblings aren't thought of as those people, even though Megan at birth was instantly a member of the club. You see, she was born with an extra 21st chromosome. So some things I've learned from Megan. Those people live in a kind of heightened scrutiny, needing to prove oneself again and again. Also, those people are vulnerable to being seen as just like everybody else, having the same those people designation. All the same, individuality is lost in others' perceptions, what they think they should expect of you, where you belong, and with whom you belong. Makes me wonder about the those people questions in the minds of the 18 and 19-year-old in Megan's freshman math class, those unvoiced questions just on the cusp of consciousness. Why was I surprised that Megan knew how to solve that problem? Is she just an exception? A credit to her kind? What is her kind? There's no doubt about it, this those people thing is a really troubling part of our human condition. After all, those people collide with inclusion. And it's this tension that fuels my passion for this cause. Who are my those people? Who are yours? And what are we going to do about it? Thank you very much.